Okay, guys, welcome. Can everyone hear me? Welcome to my regular Wednesday night live stream. Hey, Jesse. Jesse, do you want to jump on? I think my guest has probably slept in and maybe forgot to put it in his diary. I checked the times to make sure that they aligned with what we said. It is currently 6:15 or 6:13 a.m. in Canada at the moment, so I think I may get him a little later in the same stream. But in the meantime, I don't want to be by myself on the stream. So I've asked my friend Joel to jump back on. And Jesse, you are most welcome to come back on. I have a feeling the pastor and I have, Pastor Henry Hildebrand and I have been communicating through email. So I know that it's today. I know that they're 14 hours behind us. So right now he would be waking up to what is Wednesday, 6:15 a.m., the 16th of June. But my guess is that it was confirmed maybe or whatever it is. Yeah, give me a minute and I will set up. Okay, cool. All right, so I have two guests coming on now, two friends from two different walks of life. Hopefully I can get Henry on the later end of this stream. I don't think this was intentional. I think it's just sometimes hard to organize these things. I probably should have sent several different emails confirming, but I don't really question pastors. So I am just a little disappointed. But again, I think it's just an accident. So that's all right. I will just send a message to Jesse as well here. Does anyone want to ask any questions in the meantime while I wait for the most awesome people on earth to jump on? I really wanted to speak to the pastor. I think it'll work out eventually. I just think right now he hasn't realized what's going on. So I'll just keep checking. I'll keep checking my email throughout the live because I feel like he'll join me towards like the second half. I'm not gonna lie, I'm slightly disappointed, but that's okay. Because he even followed me back on Twitter, so I know he has every intention. Okay, so there's Jesse. So that's cool. Hello, my friend, my big brother.
Hey, sis, how are you?
Good. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry for anyone that was expecting the pastor. He followed me back on Twitter. I know this is just a misunderstanding, miscommunication, so I'm not like too upset or anything. How are you, bro?
Oh, yeah, I'm upright, breathing, and have a pulse. How's yourself?
Well, I hope a little better than that. I'm doing good. I'm happy for the most part. I'm a happy girl usually. Like, it's hard to break me. I like to smile, as you well know, and that's the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, sorry, a bit impromptu. Yeah, I was hoping your pastor friend would rock up. I was very interested to see what he has to say.
I think he will, whether it's today or later in the stream. Yeah. All right, here's a third. Give me a sec. There we are.
Hey, Joe. How are you, mate? I really liked the show you did with Dio the other day.
He did.
Yeah, thank
he
you.
really
yeah,
liked it.
Dude.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
We've actually been talking behind the scenes, Joel and I, about doing a United piece once a month. So it's his platform, and I'll just sort of intrude once a month on his platform, and like we're gonna write stuff where we disagree or agree, and we're just got to work out the details, the kinks. But
with Joel, man, like I've been reading your stuff for a while. I love it, man.
Thanks,
stuff.
Mate. Thank you.
And as Dia knows, I've been following her stuff for a long time and absolutely love it too. So I've got two people I really like that impromptu we're on with now. So
yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't like doing live streams on myself. Like when I watch Daisy Cousins, she rocks it on her own. That she talks issues, and I would do that down the track if I wanted to, but I much rather like learn about other people than just talk out of my house. Yeah.
You're all good, sis. You're all good. So what would you like to talk about?
I don't know. I think we should talk about what the pastor and I were going to talk about, and that is, I guess, Christian persecution disguised as C-19 restrictions. Do you guys each like have a stance on that? And do you guys does anyone like do you think it's going to get worse and worse, or do you think that it can get better if the people like stand up? I'll go Jesse, you go first because you're like a military guy, and then we'll get Joel because he's younger and his perspective, and then we'll go to me. And
yeah, I was hoping you'd get Joel to go first, but that's fine.
Okay, no. Do you want me to go Joel first? Do you want Joel to go first? So
I don't know. It's up to Joel. Up to Joel. What do you?
I'm happy to do whatever. I'm happy to do whatever. All good.
Yeah.
I'm not fast.
You're full, buddy.
Okay.
You go, Joel. You go, Joel.
Yeah, no. I mean, I just saw the other day that there was another. There was a pastor in Canada who got arrested again for like the second time or something.
Yeah, that wasn't my one that coming on.
No. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I checked the names and everything. But yeah, like even that was like concerning. The fact that he got arrested twice now for pretty much doing the same thing, just inciting people to go to church. That's just kind of ridiculous, to be honest. Like, I don't know when that sort of became when we crossed over to the on the path to making that a crime or something. But I think like if that's going to keep happening, then that sort of spells bad news for Christians worldwide. Really, I mean, doesn't matter whether you're in the Middle East or whether you're in a Western country or whatever. It's just going to happen, and we can't really hide from it anymore.
Jesse, go ahead.
No, man, like that, Joel. I hear you perfectly clear, man, and I agree. My bit here might take a little while.
That's it.
Go ahead. I'll try to stay quiet. It's hard for a woman, but I'll do my best.
No, you're good. And I'm sorry, I've still got this bloody man flu. So
that's okay. Wait, before you go, I forgot my tradition. Let me read a Bible verse, then you can go. Okay, it's okay.
Please do.
Okay. All right, here we go. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 3. The integrity of the upright will guide them, but the perversity of the unfaithful will destroy them. Okay.
True.
And it's a good one. Okay. Go ahead, buddy.
So what we're seeing here is something that's been going on for over 4,000 years.
Yes.
Largely started in Sumer, transferred to Babylon, transferred to Pharaonic Egypt, and then into our modern times. Probably for our time, in terms of persecuting Christians and trying to break down Western civilization and the Christianity that is one of the three pillars of it. Three pillars of Western civilization are the European nations, the Greco-Roman tradition, and Christianity. You compromise or discard any of those three, and that's it. She's gone. It's over. And that's exactly what's happened. All three have been compromised. I'm very sorry for the sniffles and that. I'm still having man flu.
Oh, yeah, that's why you're getting over man flu. Are you almost at the back end of it?
Yeah. It keeps coming back.
I'm sorry.
I get her on the ropes. She gets me on the canvas. But anyway, long story short, so we can't go through a full history lesson here, but the modern version of what we're going through now with this persecution of Christians has been going on for about 400 years. It started by the modern version that we're going through now. So these satanic arseholes that are behind it, they're not perfect. They've had to wind their methods over and over and over and over again throughout the cycles of history. But the current form that we're going through started about 400 years ago with a guy called John Dee, who was Agent 007 for Queen Elizabeth I in the 16th century and early 17th century. And he was a student of a Jesuit priest whose name I can't recall right now in continental Europe. And it comes from the Kabbalah, it comes from all that kind of stuff. It's utterly satanic. From there, you got the Freemasons, the Illuminati, etc., etc. And what they do is they permeate every aspect of public life, every institution, etc., etc. And their biggest obstacle is Christianity, because Christianity is, while it is somewhat, some would say pacifistic. I think that's completely incorrect. I'd say it's more stoic. Stoic, I guess, and other pronunciation.
Stoic.
But, yeah, but you don't hit back until you've been hit enough.
Sorry, you Queenslanders, you say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, long story short, what we're seeing is the end road of what has been going on for about 400 years. And it's just breaking down of the traditional European and Christian ideals that were built up over centuries and more than a millennia. Things like the idea of usury is bad. The idea of sexual perversion is bad. That breaking marriage and family is bad. Breaking children is bad. Like all of these things that were held so closely. And one of the key things that they've done with this, with the wider public, is that they've convinced that man is his own god. These puppet masters have convinced the puppets and the public and at large that we are our own gods. This is where evolution comes from. This is where a lot of these other things come from. That we can create this perfect utopia, and utopia means no place, doesn't exist. But we can create this perfect utopia on Earth outside of God. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. And to do that, you have to get rid of God. And how do you get rid of God? Is you persecute those who follow God. And the reason, so that's why in all of these regimes that you've seen in history, especially leftist regimes, I know you don't believe in the spectrum, dear, but bear with me.
No, I it's not that I don't believe in it. It's just I no longer abide by it.
Understood. But the persecution of Christians is very prominent. Because it's the biggest obstacle to totalitarian dictatorships such as we see in communist China with the Sesame social credit system, etc. The biggest obstacle to that is people who follow the word of God, who understand natural law, divine rights, etc. I know that was a bit of a rant, but that's how it is.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the messages. I have no idea who this person is or what they're saying. But no worries. Okay. So I think that Christianity has been persecuted in China, in the Middle East, in North Korea, and it was bound to happen in the Western world, wouldn't you say? So the sad thing is that the disguise of that is C19. But C19 lately, but C19 isn't even that dangerous. I mean, yes, older people have been dying from it, but most people who end up with it build up an immunity for it. And so recently I read that a couple in Queensland were kept away from their baby for 8 days, and they were vaccinated.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah,
that was shocking.
Point? What's the point then? Like, and so if someone wants to, do you know what it is? I believe worship is an essential. Whilst I was in Melbourne, I was a traffic controller. That's essential work. I had work. Others didn't. I'm not doing that now, but the point is that that's what I was doing. And that's essential work. I get it. The roads need to be fixed. But do you know what's also essential? The need for people to connect with God in fellowship. Sure, you can read the Bible at home. Sure, you can connect with other Christians through Zoom. It's not the same as being with other like-minded individuals who believe that Jesus is the most important thing in the world. Jesus is the reason that we live, that we breathe. I know it's different for you, Joel, because, you like your saints. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so sorry. But you know what I mean. Give me a second. I'm going to turn down the heater. It's really hot. So one of you can respond to that. I'll be right back.
Joel, you first, man. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say.
No, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Drawing a blank.
Yeah, of course I am. You know, busy day. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd agree with what you were saying about the about how that's compromised now. It's sort of just it's a tough situation. I mean, if they've always had to sort of take down Christians in order to build themselves up, and they always need to. A lot of these communist countries, especially like particularly China and stuff, they really they've been telling people to go and take down their crucifixes and worship Mao and Xi and all that, and that's just like, well, of course they're going to say that because that's they need somebody else to take that position of God in a sense. They need to. That's why they cannot. They're so scared of Christianity because it's such a threat to their whole regime, and so they will do whatever they can to bring that down and put someone else in place of God to worship, rather than have God himself there.
You fucking nailed it.
Hey, dude! No swearing.
Sorry. You know me, sis. Come on. Yeah,
I
sorry.
do, big bro.
Yeah, I get that. Nah, fair enough. Yeah, no, you're definitely right. Like, when you have a God-shaped hole in society at large, it has to be filled by something. And 9 times out of 10, it is filled either by worship of a dictator-like person, or it is filled by worship of the state.
Exactly.
That is the cycle of history. It repeats and repeats and repeats again. And not to be going relativistic here, but even with pagan religions, etc., in history, this is what happened when observance of these religions, these belief systems declined. Worship of state leaders or the state itself always go up, and subservience to that always goes up. And what's so threatening about Christianity is Christianity promotes natural law, individual rights, God-given rights that cannot be taken by any man. It promotes all of the shit that, promotes all of the stuff that these guys.
I don't mind shit. I don't mind shit. I say shit. That's okay.
But that these power-hungry
people say that.
assholes absolutely hate. That these puppet masters hate.
I think you're correct. I think you can never really fully get rid of God, because when you get rid of God, you fill it with pornography, gambling, worship of the state, in a sense, reliance on someone else. It's quite incredible the amount of conversations I've had with people where they go, you're not getting the vaccine, but why would you decline it? Like, they're just looking out for you. Like, it's a normal thought. I think I used to default to that in my younger years. It's like, why would they? Like, why? People are in power for a reason. Why would you think otherwise? Of course they're going to have your best interest at heart. They got rid of solariums Australia-wide because they care about people getting cancer. Like, you believe these things with the narrative that they place. Go ahead, Jesse.
I was just going to say, dear, but the difference is now there's no excuses anymore. Okay, 5 years ago, I'll go easy. I'll go say 2-3 years ago. 2-3 years ago. For the average person, you could say that there was an excuse for remaining so ignorant. Alt media has been around since 2006, and it's been very powerful in the last 5, 6, 7 years.
That's a solid point you raised.
Definitely.
Yeah, even with all the censorship and that. People that don't know this shit now, they simply, I'm not trying to be mean here, but probably they simply just should be either shutting their mouths or should be dead, to be perfectly honest, because the information's out there. Remember back when people said, the problem is access to information. The problem is lack of access to knowledge. That's a very libertarian view. Yeah, it wasn't that.
No.
It wasn't that. But I would say now that if one used that claim, the counter argument would be, yes, but the powers that be hide all the major information. It's like, all you see, for example, my friend Jimothy, black people, a lot of what we see is quite negative about black people. It's like, oh, well, all they do is Black Lives Matter and they commit more crimes and blah, blah, blah. And you look at the statistics and this and that. But then maybe that's because there's an algorithm developing for us to just see the negatives of what Black people are doing, killing white children for no reason, just because they want to. Like, I've seen all that stuff that Black people are doing. That doesn't mean that specifically that's their pattern, because what we're not seeing maybe is all the good that they do and all that kind of stuff. And Jimothy's been very clear that algorithmically you start looking into something that ends up being all you see. And so we have an idea that Black people are this and that, but maybe that's because that's what we're looking for and that's what we want to see. And algorithmically, that's what our computer and internet is allowing us to see. Do you understand what I mean? I did a whole documentary on this, as you know, Jesse. What do you reckon about that, Joel? I'm actually curious to get a younger person's perspective.
I tend to agree with that, to be honest. I think, like, you know, when we're
Jimmy,
sort of
would like you.
when we're I think when we sort of go, like, delve into something and we start to look at it more, and like we sort of start to go towards one side or another, and I think, you know, a lot of us are naturally just built that way, and that, you know, our minds will either wander to, you know, the to this side of the argument or that side of the argument. And sometimes that can be influenced by other people we know. You know, sometimes it's influenced by teachers, sometimes it's influenced by family, sometimes it's just influenced by whatever you're watching on the news, or whatever, you know, depending on what on who you're watching and what their opinions are and everything, and that can rub off on their audience. But I think, you know, if people, I think a lot of people really don't do a lot of research in terms of, you know, important topics and stuff. And I think
not today, they don't.
No, and I think the problem, because there's that sort of, you know, laziness where they just sort of rely upon what other people say and what other people tell them, rather than actually going and looking at it for themselves and finding out more and forming a more informed opinion of something, or, you know, taking on a more informed view. They're sort of blinded to what the reality is of a situation. And, you know, if they did just a little bit more research, you know, they could be in a much better position to actually judge what's going on than if they're just, you know, listening to whatever someone else is saying.
Especially when it comes to Rona. You've got
Definitely.
the people, you've got the UN, you've got Bill Gates, you've got the World Health Organization, you've got Fauci, you've got these people have openly stated again and again and again, there's nothing to do with keeping people safe. It is about control. They have said this openly.
Have they?
Exactly.
I've not actually heard that, but I have certainly looked into the jabs and all of that, and I know that a lot of it is BS. In fact, what's inspired my brand new series that I've been doing, I think both of you are aware of this, is a family member of mine that said, leave it to the experts. I'm like, oh, okay, I will leave it to the medical experts. Let me show you what the others are saying that you don't know about. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sis, about that as well. Like,
Yeah.
I was in the chemist.
Okay, don't get into the details on it on live. But yeah, sorry, keep going.
Of course not. You know that I don't work like that.
Okay.
Yeah, even just to illustrate this as well. So I was at the chemist the other day getting my cold and flu tablets, and two things happened. One, the guy that was actually ahead of me in the queue, I went down on my lunch break from work and to get my cold and flu tablets because I was about to collapse. I don't like taking tablets for anything. Normally, you know, I'll have a headache. I'll just go through it. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, Pissy. Yeah, normally I'll just go through it, but I went to get the pseudoephedrine, you know, the speed to, you know, unblock everything so I could keep functioning at work. Guy in front of me had got the, he'd got the Pfizer jab, sorry, the AstraZeneca jab, and he was due for his next jab, and he was an out-of-towner. And he said, look, the hospital's told me that I have to wait here for 3 days. I've got to get out of here in one. So, you know, I hear that you do jabs here. Can you do it? And like, no, it's a Pfizer jab. They openly said at the chemist, if you take this jab when you've already had the AstraZeneca one, the reactions could probably kill you. And he was already really, really sick. And he's like, I'm
I
already
didn't
sick.
know that. That doesn't surprise me. I didn't know that though.
And then he said, but before they told him that, he's like, no, I want this other jab because the last one made me really, really sick. I want this, because I've got to keep going. Anyway, and then they got to me and I was asking for cold and flu tablets and I started getting the whole, hey, you should get, we do the test for COVID here. And we've got the jab here as well. Like we've got the vaccine here as well. Do you want to do that? And I'm like, no. Like, oh, you don't even want to get tested? No, it's the fucking flu. It's the flu. It's just going around work. Anyway, I've got my tabs.
I don't think it is the flu. I'll tell you why in a second. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, just no. What I have is the flu.
Sorry. What you have is the flu. No worries.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's the flu time of year, and it's simply
yes,
that. We work in a very confined workspace, so it keeps bouncing around everyone. But yeah, it just amazes me the sheer level of sheepleness amongst people. It's not friggin' hard. Like, as you know, like dear, you know very well, I'm very well versed in history.
Yeah, really. You should have your own channel on history. You'd do really good. You would.
Well, thank you very much.
Your Aussie bogan narrative and the way, like, it'd be different. It would. It would be different.
But with history, okay, if you want to know what if you want to know what happened at a certain stage in history,
yeah.
If you want to know what happened at a certain stage in history and get the best idea of what actually happened at that time, do you go to historians who have written like a third or fourth book or even a first book on it? Or do you go to the sources that were actually there at the time, the documentation from the actual time, from people who actually saw what happened?
Well, you would usually go to the source, wouldn't you?
Exactly right. So why don't people do this with so many other things? For example, this pandemic.
Because they don't know that that's what they're not doing. They don't realize that there's a contradiction in the way they are living. It's like often when I realize I'm a walking contradiction because I said this and I did something else, then I'm like, oh, actually, I just realized I'm this. So I shouldn't, I think people don't realize that they're doing that. It's like being pro-life, right? You're pro-life, but then a lefty will say my body, my choice. So the one finally when a pro-lifer is like, yeah, my body, my choice, but with the jab, the lefties are like, no, government, you must do it. It's like I don't even think that they realize that that's a contradiction in their own values. People just don't realize. They don't realize.
You can point that out all day to them, and this is why, like, with what's coming and what's going down with the collapse, I think like these people, they're going to die en masse. And to be perfectly honest, it's very unchristian of me, but I honestly couldn't give
two.
I couldn't.
Fair enough.
Anyway, sorry, Joel.
No, all good. No, actually, I just want to pick up on something Jesse said there about what he was saying about that guy ahead of him at the chemist the other day. Getting the how they said that they shouldn't mix the vaccines or something, right? I just remembered this because I remember reading this about a month ago, but I found the article here. Brendan Murphy, the Secretary of the Department of Health, was saying literally a month ago that there was that they think there's no good scientific reason why you can't mix and match vaccines.
Oh.
So I mean, and now these, that's weird. That's quite concerning if they're going to.
It's the media, dude.
That. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm. I've heard from work, just that I know of, because we get a lot of people come through our work. 2 people have died in the last 3 weeks in my tiny little town where I live. That you can drive 7 minutes.
Of what? Mixing the jabs?
From the jab.
Just from the jab. Okay.
Just the jab alone. I don't know if they mixed or not. And this guy was really, really sick in front of me. Like, he was really, really sick. He was shaking, probably in his 50s. He was really, really sick.
Yeah.
Like this tiny, tiny little town. And just in the last couple of weeks, 2 people have died.
That's insane.
And people are just still not getting it through that.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I think there's somewhere I saw a statistic where more people have died of the jab than they have of the Rona. But I don't know how true that is because we also have we have the WikiLeaks emails. We know that it was created in a lab. Like, we just know that. So it's like, yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to talk about C19 completely. I wanted more so to talk about Christian persecution.
No,
And-
you're right. Sorry, that was
No,
Yeah, no. We just went on a my doctor said previously, hey pup test, my doctor said he previously had the AstraZeneca and today he got the second. Oh, what? That's insane. Okay, well, he might end up dead. Hopefully not, but there you go.
Hey, one thing, I know we're doing Christian here, but you notice when it comes to the Rona stuff, have you noticed that most doctors are fully on board with it, but so many nurses are not? Like, including
that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
like they tend to be so much smarter about it. Like even I know a lot of nurses
Because they're
myself.
observing it.
Yeah, they're a hell of a lot smarter when it comes to stuff like that. Not just with this, but vaccination in general.
yeah. That's the other thing as well. I think because they've conditioned everyone to think, like particularly with like the climate stuff, that it's all because it's consensus based or whatever. All these people agree with it or whatever. All the scientists agree on the same thing. Like people keep and I keep saying this over and over, and I don't think people are getting this into their heads that consensus does not equal scientific fact. There are so many, there are probably so many examples of people who have gone against the grain, of scientists that have gone against the grain, and they've been right, whereas the consensus has been completely wrong. It's just been some sort of narrative that's been pushed that is not what is actually right. And people just aren't getting that. And so I think, that's even played over into this, in that, people just believe whatever, they will like trust the science or whatever. It's just like, the scientists are people. They could lie to you, it's
And
not,
they do.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
they get paid. They're
There's so much
How are
money
they going to
involved.
get paid if they don't say what their paymaster tells them to do? Peter Ridd pointed this out, the guy that was persecuted from James Cook University. He pointed out the whole bullshit with global warming and the reef and all that. The reef is dying. The reef is dying. I live where the reef comes right in to 50 bloody meters of the beach, and I can tell you it ain't bloody dying.
Yeah.
And he said much the same thing. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
No. I just find that really, really insane. And you bring up a good point, Joel. I put up on my Instagram some time ago, some guy, I don't even know who he was, but it was really smart. And he said that if everything that you read educationally, academically, has to be peer reviewed, then how are you going to introduce any new ideas if all that people will read is, I will only read peer-reviewed studies and research papers? It's like, then that doesn't work. A lot of the, I don't remember where it was or who it was, but the reason we know today that you need to wash your hands and disinfect them before like doing a surgery or doing an operation of some sort is because this one guy tried to tell everyone you should be doing this because we're making people sick by not washing our hands. It was just something that they didn't do back however many years ago. And eventually he had to literally die for them to go, OMG. And then now we all do it. I didn't think that anyone would have even thought that there was an originator to that tale as to why we now do that. But someone actually died for us to understand why we now have to wash our hands like up to here when we're about to do a surgery. And so just that wasn't a peer-reviewed paper. That was a death of someone who proved his point. There was no consensus until he died. Then it's like, oh, he was right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, Joel, you first, mate.
No, I was going to say, we're always told that today to just, go to peer-reviewed sources or whatever. It's just like, that's all well and good, but that doesn't mean it's completely accurate. I mean, it's probably the same people, the same group of people just, patting each other on the back and giving each other the old peer reviews, stamp of approval and saying, oh, you've done a good job here. Yeah, totally. You've kept the narrative intact. So, yeah, that can be published. Whereas, somebody like Peter Ridd, who was trying to publish papers, it's just like, no, you can't publish that because it goes against the narrative and it doesn't work. And, we're pushing this, not, that we're pushing climate change. We're not pushing that the reef is healthy or anything. We're not pushing that it's cyclical, even though it is. And, that's become sort of the norm now for science is sort of like just, it's corrupted, completely corrupted.
Science is the imitation that is designed to replace God. And this is the two things. One, science, just like philosophy, is simply a tool.
Mm.
It is simply a tool, and like any tool, it has its limitations. You can't use a spanner to tune a set of points in an old car with a carburetor. You can't. There's limits to every tool, and science has that as well. And this is why, and I'm going to have to swear here, and I apologize for this. This is
You're fine.
why I fucking love science crowd I find so hilarious, because it is so limited, just like philosophy in what it can do. Science is simply a way to prove definitively and objectively certain aspects of the physical world, and philosophy is a way to prove definitively and objectively some of the the non sorry, I'm very sick right now, I've lost my vocabulary, but the non-physical, like the intangibles.
Yeah.
But they're very limited in what they can do. And these people that worship at the altar of this, and when it comes to peer review, which is the second thing I wanted to say, peer review used to be, and it actually started originally with the scientific method. So you make observations in nature, you form a hypothesis, then you test hypothesis, and both of these, it has to be 100% repeatable with the exact same result every time, and it has to be able to be done in a lab. And then you draw your conclusions. Then the peer review part at the end of the scientific process, you were supposed to send that to people who are likely to disagree with you. And they run the same experiments that you do and come to the same conclusion, and then it's peer review.
Exactly.
Peer review for the last 20, 30, 40 years has been, hey, I'll send this to my cronies who think the exact same as I do and won't even run the bloody experiments. And then you get the stamp of approval, goes in the scientific journal, and therefore it's gospel. And it's bullshit. So much of it is just complete and utter. Yeah, anyway, that's all I wanted, just to expand on what you were saying, Joel.
Yeah, and do we think that the first people to be persecuted in this country will be Christians, or will we revolt? Will we go back to some semblance of normality, like Jerusalem and Israel has managed to do after doing everything? Let's say.
Joel.
I mean, look, as much as I'd like to see it happen, I don't think, I think people, I mean, I'm about to, like tomorrow, I'm about to sit down and write a piece for the Good Source on this whole thing about, more conservatives and, Christians and stuff, or just being silent on things, and as I was saying to Dia on our last chat, that, they just don't, people are more inclined to just sit back and let other people speak for them, and if we don't have more people voicing we're all sort of just doomed to this whole persecution and everything. Like, we're not going to get out of it unless more people stand up. And I mean, it's all well and good for a bunch of us to speak out and everything, and obviously we need to keep speaking out, but unless more people come to the forefront and defend their faith and defend their values and everything, then particularly against authoritarian politicians now, it's not going to happen unless they come forward. So I mean,
the problem is that we have such a great here in Australia, we have such a great culture, the type of people that we are known, and obviously I mean more so white Australians, and I know there are people probably watching that think, Dia's not allowed to call herself Australian, deport Dia. Okay, I don't care. The point is, this country, you know what I deal with, Jesse. You kind of both know what I've dealt with. But the point is,
I got something for him, a twin-fingered salute. Sorry.
But this is an amazing country. I love this country. This is an excellent country, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for it, and I'm glad to be here. I don't want to be elsewhere. But the attitude of, the chilled, laid-back Aussie, that's a great thing. That's not a bad thing. But where it does form some sort of a burden or hindrance is that no one is willing to say anything. No one is willing to do anything because they want to have their bubbles intact, and their bubbles are far more important than their freedoms. And these are mothers of 1-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds. They're not going to stand up. They're not going to say, I need to defend my baby's rights, because they don't want their children to be in any danger. So can we expect mothers to do that and husbands to do that, or should we understand that they're doing it in their own way? I spoke to my best friend recently. Yeah, what Jesse, do you and your wife do that?
No. You say what you wanted to say first, mate, and then I'll respond to what you want.
Okay, I was going to say that I was speaking to one of my best friends the other day on the phone, and she didn't get mad at me or anything, but she did say, but like, what do you expect? Like, I have like a 2-year-old daughter and 2 other older boys, slightly older boys. Like, I'm not going to go to a rally because the cops come and then they like shovel people down with their horses. Like, I'm not going to do that. She goes, what needs to happen? This is what she said. What needs to happen is that every Australian needs to just say, oh, I'm exempt. Oh, I'm exempt. Oh, I'm exempt. And just stop wearing the mask.
Yeah.
You agree with her? Yeah. Do you reckon that's easier?
Yeah. Honestly, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what she reckons, rather than the visual of seeing everyone say no to the cops. It's easier to do it the other way, where just no one listens. And then they just keep going about the day. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What do you reckon, Jesse? Go ahead. I know you put your hand up before, so.
No, you're right. So 2 things I want to point out, one historical and one from our live stream with Noah.
Okay.
About the standing up and about not complying and just refusing and all that kind of stuff.
I'm just getting in my covers.
Hey?
I said I'm just getting into my covers. I'm cold again.
So historically, what happened to the Western world, including Australia, and Australia paid very heavily. We were bled white in 2 world wars with completely volunteer forces, for the most part in World War II, completely, there were some conscripts, but for the most part, completely voluntary. So the type of guys that will volunteer for a foreign war, they're your alphas. They're your strong betas. They're your strong deltas. They're the guys that will stand up against tyranny. They're the guys that will stand up against overreach of authority. They're the guys that will, if need be, they will hang politicians. They will strike. They will do whatever they have to do to protect their liberty and their freedom and the freedom of their families and their futures, etc. These guys, we were bled white. They were either dead, wounded, captured, killed, or came back broken from 2 world wars. And that broke our society. That's your strongest men have gone away, and many of them have come back broken. That completely broke us.
Can I just say that I think men are still broken, and all we have is the shit left over?
Look, again, as we talked about here, like, if you take a guy like Noah, right, or me, or any of my mates that I've introduced you to that I was in a battalion with, you take any of us and you throw us back 60, 70 years, we would be considered weaklings. Now, does Noah look like a weakling?
Yes.
No.
No, but the men have devolved. Yeah. Is that the right word?
Yeah, they have. And then what clinched it was feminism.
Sorry, Joel.
Cut off. So you have that aspect. Now, as to why men aren't doing anything, which we discussed in Noah's show, why aren't men doing anything at the moment? Those of us who are masculine men, not effeminate men, why aren't we doing anything right now? And Noah said it perfectly, because we know what we have to do, what we have to deal with, we're going to have to live with. And there is no, the system and the way things have gone, there is no legitimate way, there is no organized way to rise up, revolt, and do what used to happen in past times. And democracy is a large part of this. Instead of 1 tyrant or 2 tyrants, you've got fucking hundreds of them, surrounded by massive security forces. Yeah, you could get together a militia of maybe 1,000 guys, 2,000 guys, whatever, and you could, especially ex-military guys, you could probably successfully execute a lot of hits on politicians, etc., like that, and you could probably take over. But you're taking over the same mess that they were ruling in the first place. What needs to happen, and what we are waiting for, is the collapse. And in the meantime, what we do, we network, we get off grid, I think the time for red pilling people is largely over. I think that people, in all honesty, this is only my opinion, not objective, but I think that those that aren't red pilled are not going to be. I think that those who can be red pilled are already red pilled. And so then, get off grid. We network. We connect with like-minded people. We formulate plans off grid. We don't go out there and form some political party or whatever the case may be. That's broken. Everything like that is broken. No disrespect at all to people like Dean McRae, who I respect incredibly highly, and Ricardo Bosi, like people like that. I respect them. Absolute hats off. Well done. But the time for peaceful solution is past. However, like armed revolt, etc., which is the only thing that could fix it, it's too far for that to fix it. So we're just kind of marking time. And when we do unleash the sleeping bear, like the right is, as Noah pointed out, that the right is often called the sleeping bear. Poke the bear enough times, what happens? So like the lion one I sent you with Christopher Walken, the hyenas and the jackals come in and piss the lion off enough. Eventually he jumps up and he eats all of them. And that's essentially what happens. That's what's happening, and that's both the background and what's going on right now. As those of us of real caliber, well, we understand the situation, especially those of us ex-military. We know the score. We can read a battle space, and the idea of taking over Canberra and taking over all the state parliaments and executing all the politicians, etc. There's just too many subversives in the populace. Like we're the minority now. Like this whole silent majority thing. We're the dissidents. We're the minority now. Those of us who actually have traditional values, who love our country, etc., etc. And by the way, we're the minority now. This silent majority bullshit, it doesn't exist. Okay, we're the minority. But the good news is, though, with the collapse that's coming, and it's coming even quicker with this Rona shit, is that all of the idiot subversives, they're going to be the first to die off because their cities are filled with them. They're going to be the first. They're going to be the first. So we just connect. We form groups. We have strong in-group preference. We get off grid as far as we can. We network, etc., etc. And then eventually, what will happen with the collapse? We all kind of come together, and everything balkanizes after a collapse every single time. Slovakia, USSR, all these places are a very good representation of that recently. And we just, in the slices of our pie that we have a hell of a lot more say in what goes on. And then that's where you get hung politicians and all that kind of stuff. So it's marking time, that's all.
I think I can get, except when you said there's no such thing as red pilling anymore, because through C19, many of my friends have come back to me. They've realized things that they didn't know before. So I think maybe that's the one thing, just through sheer experience, I don't have any numbers or stats for that you might be wrong on. But the rest I can see.
You're a lot kinder to people than me, dear. You're not the jaded bit.
Yeah, I'm that person that's like, that person did this to me. Okay, I forgive you. That person's now done that to me too. Oh, I'll keep forgiving you. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Go ahead, Joel. Did you want to build up anything Jesse said?
I mean, I think what he said is pretty. It's pretty well spoken there. I mean, I think it's quite accurate as to how we're just going to have to go about the next however long, this period of time where everything's still going on. And I think once that collapse does happen, it's going to be much, it should be a bit better than after that. I mean, but I think I think I'd agree with you, Dia, in that I've even seen people who have sort of come across to our side after seeing all the ridiculous stuff that's gone on throughout this whole C19 period and everything. And especially as more, as things start to unravel around certain figures and stuff, particularly like even, last couple of weeks with the whole Fauci thing and the emails and all that sort of stuff. Once that started to come out, I think a lot of people started to, a few more people started to wake up and realize, hang on a minute, we're being taken for a ride here. But I think, we're probably, there are still people out there who just refuse to refuse to listen and refuse to accept that what's in front of them, even the evidence that's in front of their eyes, they just don't want to believe it, and they still want to go along in their then they still want to go along in their little narrative and everything. They'll still push the whole thing. They don't. I've seen people even like last night. I was watching a bit of Crowder's live stream last night, and he was talking about. He was talking about. I forget what his name was, but he was on Stephen Colbert's show, and he was saying, this obviously came from a. He was saying, I think we've got to be thankful to science because science is fixing the problems that science actually created or something. And Colbert was just, like taken aback by that. He was not having it. He kept pushing the whole, this didn't come from a lab theory or whatever, which is just,
Colbert.
It's just ridiculous. We all know it came from a lab at this point, that's just common sense. It's just ridiculous, honestly. People who refuse to see that, it's just like, you're really just blind. That's it. Like, I don't think
Colbert is blind. He just knows what side he's on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's still people that are still going to try and push the narrative, even if the evidence is against them. And people will still believe them, People will still believe them because they're public figures. People are still going to, be like, oh, I love this guy. He's probably more right than what the evidence is saying. It's like, no, that's not accurate. So I mean, I think people just need to start to realize that this is not what that they need to just get out of their bubbles. They need to get out of their little echo chambers and stuff and actually wake up and realize this is the reality is much different to what they're thinking.
Yes, you're right, man. Yuri Bezmenov told us in '83 he tried to win America and it was already too late.
Yeah.
Really intelligent Russian kind of disappeared after that interview, though, didn't he?
As far as I know, I've never been able to confirm it. I didn't look too hard into it, but apparently, he was finally capped by the KGB. They finally got to him in typical KGB style. So
yeah, you pronounced it wrong. It's KGB. Yeah, no, for sure. All right. Well, tell us a little bit, Jesse, about for those who don't know who Jesse is, he's a former veteran, and he does a lot of counseling of veterans who suffer from PTSD and all those sorts of things. This isn't the topic of the show, but I think it's really good to get your insights because a lot of what is wrong with the Australian government you saw before anyone else because you saw your friends dying around you. They didn't get any help after the fact. And the least that the government could do, if they're not supposed to take care of us, fine, don't. That's okay. We should fend for ourselves. But for people who are fighting for the land for the country that they've left and they're fighting for elsewhere, whatever it is you're doing in the battalion or whatever, they should, out of everyone, they should get extra medical help, all of that kind of stuff, and they're not. So what do you think the government should do for soldiers like yourself? Because this is not a topic I know anything about, and I only learned about this because I met you. I didn't know it was that bad. I'll give you the floor on that because we are talking about a government and how failed they are. So I think this is sort of still relevant in that sense. Go ahead.
I really appreciate you bringing that up, sis, and thank you very, very much. I really do.
No worries.
You're fucking awesome.
It's important. It's something I didn't know about until I met you. So I didn't even know if Joel knew about that. I certainly didn't.
Not really, no. Not around it, no. So.
No, I've lost 14 of my mates that I actually knew very well to suicide.
14? I didn't know it was that big, dude. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, it's nothing to do with me, mate. It's them and their families and etc. But yeah,
still a loss for you. Don't act tough. It's still a loss for you.
4KIA, and yeah, I do counsel veterans, and yeah, unfortunately we lost the last one. One of them I was counselling in March, but he's a clearance diver. Yeah, he's a clearance diver. Name is Max Gunn. But yeah, what can government do? What can government do? It's pretty fucking simple. You're told when you get in that you'll be looked after when you get out, so fucking look after them. It's not that bloody hard. And veterans themselves can obviously help each other with what a lot of us are doing anyway, networking, avoiding going hermit, etc. But waiting for government to do something, despite the great work of people like Ricardo Bossi. I know he's pushing for, and Hester Russell, like they're pushing for a Royal Commission, etc. That's great. What else could happen? DVA, independent watchdog, would be a very good idea, because with DVA, you get to complain to DVA, or you get to complain to the Minister for Veterans, who basically runs DVA. So it's a closed shop. You don't get to complain to anybody else. Practically anything in civilian land, in the private sector, you have a government ombudsman that you can go to, or you have independent watchdogs. Like if you have a problem with an airline, you can go to so many different organizations that that will deal with that, whether they're private or government. You got an ombudsman. There's no ombudsman for DVA. There's no anything that you can go, like, you deal with DVA. That's just it. For example, with any regular insurance company, if you feel that you have been screwed over by an insurance company, there are bodies that you can go to and get sorted. And if you have a legitimate case, then the insurance company ends up having to pay up. Now, DVA is not supposed to be an insurance company. It's supposed to be a veteran support department. They don't support veterans. They act like an insurance company, and it's the best kind of insurance company, because the people that you are doing your best to not help and to not pay out, despite their service and what they paid into their service, most of them are broken in the head and the body, and eventually, when you keep them on the table long enough, they will opt out. And it's about 80 a year. That's the low estimate, is 80 a year. So yeah, it'd be, if it's not 1,000 veterans by now, it'd be very bloody close, since Afghanistan started, since Timor, 1999. What better? what better kind of insurance customer do you have? So yeah, what could government do? Probably either leave it alone or do what they're told to do. Outside of that, back the fuck off.
Look, I was under the impression, misleadingly, I assume, that being in the army, military, navy, whatever it is, that you're given a really good yearly salary, and that after the fact that there's still plenty left over to buy a house. Like, that's how they promoted it when I was in high school.
No,
is that wrong?
Well, when we were in high school, a lot of the stuff that existed back then doesn't now.
Okay.
For example, you get the free medical and free dental, right? The medical is from medical professionals who are too shit to make it even in the public sector. Dental, horse doctors. Look at my teeth. That's what they did to me. I had a good set of teeth before I joined the army.
You have, your front teeth are behind your lowers.
Yeah.
The maxillary is in front, is behind the mandible.
I didn't have this gap before I joined the army.
You can just get Invisalign.
But yeah, you got your dental every year. You get all. Yeah, you do get like low interest home loans, etc. But as for the salary, so your basic soldier salary is shit, and it's well behind. So inflation, when they adjust for inflation, etc., it's well behind the private, like the civilian sphere. Like, even when it comes to pensions, like when you get out, so they drop the military pension. You don't automatically get it. You have to be broken to get it, and then even then you got to fight for it. And then even then it is adjusted. So, for example, the old age pension or disability pension or whatever given by Centrelink, that's adjusted yearly. When it comes to inflation, in defense, it's adjusted pretty much 5 or 10 yearly, and it's well behind what the others get adjusted for. It's you get. It's just between the top brass in the military, DVA, the politicians, and unfortunately a lot of the public at large. You just don't get a. And that's the thing. Like, we're not a bunch of whinging pricks asking for anything outside of what we were told was the case when we got in. You know, we're not asking for special dispensation or anything like that. We're not asking even for a shoulder to cry on. It's just what we were promised when we bloody got in. And you don't get it. Like, and when you read back in history, a lot of the same kind of shit happened. Like, at least in World War One, soldiers that served in Australia, in the AIF in Australia in World War One, when they got back, they were given what they were promised. They were given a plot of land. Their widows were given a pension. It's why serve the globalist interests if they're not going to pay you well? That's an interesting and very loaded question, Pissy. Do you care to clarify, bud?
I think he knows what it means. Globalists, you know who the globalists are, who people claim them to be, and you're not being paid well. So why, like, is it because you're a patriot and you just admire Australia that you did it, or?
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. No, that's a fair enough question, and I brought this up with Dean when we were doing the March for Veterans in March, and sorry for going on so long.
Yes, let Joel speak, you selfish prick.
all good. No, this is interesting to me, to be honest.
This is actually one of the big beefs that I have with the libertarian crowd, and I'm not saying Pissy's clearly not a libertarian.
No. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's hard right, far right, or libertarian. Pissy's a hard one to pinpoint because he's very much a nationalist. Sorry, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, all good. So why go fight for globalist interests if they're not going to pay you well? Well, you don't sign up to certain you don't sign up going, hey, I'm serving the fucking globalists, I'm serving the UN, I'm serving I'm serving the Rothschilds, baby. I'm joining up to serve Soros. It doesn't work like that. You don't do that.
But it's ultimately that. How odd. That's really good parallel that you brought there, Pissy. Sorry, keep going.
Here's the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
For us being Australia, right? And this is one thing I explained to Dean, and he got it. Unlike a lot of libertarians who can't get out of their stupid fucking
Dean is unique.
Sorry. They can't get out of the abstract. They just live in this fairyland where everything that Random Rothbard says applies. Which obviously doesn't. Okay, so Australia, we have 25 million people now. We had 4 million in World War One. The reason that federation happened was because in 1870, Britain withdrew her military from Australia, and no single colony had enough manpower to hold off an attack by a major power for long enough for Britain to come to the rescue. That was the main reason that federation actually happened, 31 years later. And then World War One. So World War One, why did so many Australians and New Zealanders sign up? Because it was the British Navy that defended the waters of Australia and New Zealand. That's the insurance. So the premium you pay for the insurance is that you have to participate in the wars that they go to. Same with World War Two. Now, since World War Two, John Curtin, our Prime Minister in World War Two, he switched allegiance from Britain over to the US. Same thing. We have a defense force of 50,000 people. When I was in there, when I was in the ADF, we had enough man material, reserves of oil, reserves of fuel, rations, etc., ammunition to defend the southern half of Tasmania for 72 hours from sustained attack. We are not capable of defending a country this large by ourselves. Therefore, we need a protector. That's the insurance. The insurance premium that we pay is going to these foreign wars. So when it comes to these globalist wars, we don't really have a choice but to participate, especially when we have a northern neighbor that is very angry at us, a northern neighbor that actually paints on their maps that we are southern Indonesia. That is actually what they're taught in school as Indonesian children. I know this for a fact because I dated a couple of Indonesian girls that were telling me this and actually showed me some of the works. And that so we have a very angry, very militarily strong northern neighbor, not to mention a lot of people that covered our resources. So we need a protector. We have to do what that protector says. We just get the choice of how far our involvement is. That's why we did Korea. That's why we did Vietnam. That's why we've done Iraq and Afghanistan and all these other places that have nothing to do with Australia. And I hope that answers Pissy's question, is not the pay part, but the participation part. We don't really have a bloody choice. But for us soldiers and sailors and airmen and whatever the case may be, we sign up to serve our country, our people. We observe our country as being basically an extended family. So we're serving people that we don't even know. We're serving our family that we do know and our friends that we do know, but we're serving our country, which is people, extended family. That's how we view it. We don't get a choice where we're fucking sent. Sorry. We don't get a choice where we're bloody sent to go. We get told to go. We go. And this is something that these intellectuals...
But you signed up. You signed up. You and all your veterans, and you've signed up. That's technically you volunteered to.
People who serve Australia, not serve Soros, not serve the Rothschilds, not serve any of them, to serve our people, to protect our people. And that's the delineation. We just don't know how we serve.
No, for sure. I was just making sure that I said that. Go ahead, Joel.
Sorry, I appreciate that.
No, you're okay.
But sorry, Joel, you got any thoughts, mate? Or dear, you got any thoughts?
I mean, I feel out of my depth now. Speaking about this,
I know this is not a topic I know about either.
Please speak.
No. But I mean, honestly, it's just interesting to learn about all that because I mean, like, you know, I didn't know much of that stuff myself. Like, you know, it's a learning experience for me. Yeah, there you go. You know, that's what I was thinking while Jesse was talking. You know, yeah.
You can interview him. You can interview him through email or something. Jesse would do it.
That came across my mind while he was talking. But yeah, you know, anything for some.
Come on, man. Mia puts up with it because we're friends, but you want this face on yours? No,
it's written. You have a face for writing. Jesse, you have a face for writing.
I got a hand like a testicle.
Anything's for some views, you know. I'll use anyone these days. But you know, I think, you know, it's quite shocking, really. I mean, even like I didn't even know that whole thing about, you know, our good old northern neighbor up there labeling us as South Indonesia or that's just crazy. Like I had no idea that was happening. So that really took me by surprise. But
look at this war, mate. We're next.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Like where, you know, they're already trying to get in. So I mean, it's only a matter of time, really. But
I'm very sorry, Joel. Just 1 second.
Yeah.
The real filthy. I don't know what your friggin' beef is, dude, but you can take it up with me. Cut the shit, seriously. Sorry, dude.
You're good.
I actually don't know what he said. That I said some comment about him, but I don't know who he is. This is the first. I mean, he's commented on a video of mine before, but how am I supposed to remember every single human being unless they're a regular who's commented? I actually don't know what he's talking about. If I've said something that is remotely similar to who he is as a person, I can't help that, but it's okay. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Joel.
No, I think, you know, Jesse, you're right, you know, in that we just have to do whatever the US want us to do, really. I mean, we don't really have much of a choice in the matter, you know. We really rely upon them for a lot of things, and that alliance is quite, is something that we keep, you know, we need to preserve in a sense. But, so, I mean, we don't really have a choice in the matter. It's something that we need to keep. And despite, you know, it doesn't matter who is leading it. It's just, you know, even though, you know, the leadership might be absolutely terrible in the US, it's still something that we unfortunately have to, it's still something that we have to, you know, unfortunately, you know, maintain and help them out, even if Biden wants to start, you know, all these wars, you know, start back up the wars again, you know, but I mean, I don't even think he knows what he's doing half the time anyway. So if anything, if going off the G7 summit, if anything's to go off there, I don't think he knows where he is. You know, they're giving him his good little. No. Like, you know, even yesterday, I saw him trying to answer a question yesterday, and he paused for like 25 seconds and then just moved on to the next question. It's like he's got his note cards in front of him and everything. It's just like they're babying him through the whole thing, you know.
Dementia is a wonderful thing.
I'll tell you, I don't know how he's going to last. I don't think he will, but
he's going to get Epstein.
Oh yeah, you can see Kamala just standing behind him all the time, you know, just waiting to stick the knife in. But yeah, I think, you know, particularly for for veterans, you know, mental health is quite a, I mean, I'm pretty big on mental health and everything. I'm a big advocate for mental health. And, you know, like I've looked into mental health stuff for this, and I've looked into, you know, mental health just generally, and it's just shocking. You know, it's just more needs to be done in that realm as well. Like, particularly over the last, you know, year and a half with you know, with the virus and all that, like there's with all the lockdowns and stuff that have happened and all that people have lost and everything. It's just, I think, you know, there's more people dying from suicide and from mental health issues than anything else at the moment.
Just,
I mean,
no, that's just true.
It's a real crisis that needs to be dealt with. And, you know, we can throw all this money at the virus or at whatever else, but in reality, if we want to keep people alive, then, you know, if they're really genuinely here, you know, they keep talking about saving people's lives and all that. It's just like, if you're genuine about that, you really need to do something about mental health as well, and stop doing stuff that's detrimental to people's mental health, because it's just going to cause even more damage. And I mean, there's too many young people as well that are just taking their own lives because it's, you know, too mentally taxing for them. It's just, they're not able to actually live their lives and socialize. And, you know, human beings are social creatures. I mean, we're not made to be locked in our houses all the time. You know, it's just,
some are.
I mean, yeah, some are hermits, but, you know,
some really are. You have a family, Jesse. That doesn't count.
Yeah, I hate people. You know that, sis.
But yeah,
I don't hate people. I like talking to people. That's why I interview people, because I like people.
No, I hear you, sis. I hear you. And Joel, man, no, you're 100% correct, man. And this is the thing, I don't care about it. And this is doing what it's designed to do, is to isolate people, atomize people, you know, stop people. You know, what do you want to do if you want to stop a potential revolution or rebellion? You stop people being
Exactly. There's a lot of dehumanizing going on and stuff as well. That's, you know, adds to it.
Still sick. Careful. Joel and I are getting over colds. We don't want to get sick. Coffee on the way.
Speaking of, darling, look, I'm really, really sorry, but I'm probably going to have to head off and have a shower and that, mate. I've got to work.
That's okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've got to take my medication and stuff too. So I'm really sorry, but I really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for coming on. Yes, the really impromptu. I think what happened was I didn't think to confirm with him, because I assumed, well, we already confirmed last week. Usually I send an email a day before, and I didn't this time, because he was like, yeah, down pat, yep, I got it, I'll be there. And I've been looking at his Twitter throughout the whole session. I mean, he followed me back on Twitter and he shared the live. So he obviously has the intention of coming on. He's fine to come on. He's just probably still asleep, and he's forgotten, or he's just been really busy. So I have a feeling that in the next 2 days, I'll end up doing a live with him to make up for the one that we missed.
Looking forward to it. Just looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was excited to have him. But hey, I got 2 for the price of 1.
No, good to be here, sis. Thank you very, very much. And just for your little love boy, fuck boy troll in the chat. Yeah, you're a typical internet loser, dude. Just fuck off, like seriously.
I made a video about internet losers.
Yeah.
No, I did, and it was good. And this guy is one, and he couldn't find his way out of a wet paper bag. So yeah, you can go fuck yourself. You're real filthy. Sorry.
Oh, I don't think he should. No, I don't think he should go over himself. I think he just. I think he's just sad about something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a sack of shit, and he knows it. So don't worry about that. He knows it. He knows he's a pathetic sack of shit. So.
Okay. Well, you go have a lovely shower.
Thanks for having us, sis. Hey, Joel, absolute pleasure, my friend. I love reading your stuff, and don't be scared, mate.
Definitely.
Oh, you're gonna love it even more when it's the 2 of us.
Hey.
You'll love it even more when it's the 2 of us doing our one a month. Mm-hmm.
No, definitely. Thank you very, very much. God bless both of you. Have an excellent night. And I've got to run. I'm really sorry for ducking out.
No, go.
You're all good. You're all good. Yeah.
We're gonna wrap up now anyway. I'd say.
All right, guys. Have a good one, mate.
Bye.
Have a good one, eh?
See you.
See ya. I love him. He's become like, he always calls me little sis now because he's like, I guess, a big brother type now. He's very, he's a very nice person, a very good person, and he always looks out for different people, not just me. He looks out for everyone. Yeah. Anyway, what you reckon of Jesse? He's cool, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good to have those sorts of people on your side, you know, just backing you up.
Yeah. I guess because he knows my head and my heart, and he likes you. But I didn't even knew that he liked you. And when he goes, oh, you're getting Joel Aegis on? I love that guy. I'm like, oh, you know him? He's like, yeah. So you already had a fan in my friend, in my big brother.
There you go.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Works well, honestly. Yeah, that worked out well.
That's really, really good. So before you go, tell us what's in store. What's, aside from like what we're hoping to do together, what's next? What's the next article you're thinking of writing about? Is it more mental health? Is it more biblical?
I mean, I've got a few that I've been thinking about. You know, trying to get some sort of ideas going. Like I'm thinking of doing one. I've got one idea for like a mental health type thing.
Always fun.
A couple of different ideas. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's no, you know, deep sort of things going on there or anything. But and then I'll probably do one more sort of political thing for Dave to get to him tomorrow. I've been slack with him. I've been, you know, it's been like 2 weeks since I've written for him. It's, you know, I've been slack.
Hey, fellows needs to understand that your education.
Oh, for sure, yeah, for sure. No, and then I'll probably do another sort of Uncovering Christianity edition thing probably this week. Maybe depends on. I've got another sort of the Uncovering Christianity. You know the thing I sent to you last week. Yeah.
I like that.
So I'll do like another sort of thing with that probably this week. Although I've got another sort of idea for another sort of Christianity-based series of pieces that is sort of in the works. There's sort of some ideas coming to mind. So I might start sort of doing that and alternate weeks or something between those two blog series sort of things. Keep people interested, keep people entertained. You know, as we said, there's a short attention span, but, you know, me being me, I'll start writing, I'll aim for 1,500 words and I'll end up hitting 3,000 real quick now.
Oh my gosh!
Sometimes I go too far. So, I mean, you know.
Evidently.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, a lot of things to work on. Still a lot of uni stuff to work on as well. But, you know, get the balance going and, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think we're done. When the dead silence is there, it's done.
You know, well, yeah. No, but yeah, we'll get that that project going and get that out soon. And
we've got to figure out, like what you said, your private message to me, so to figure out a good name for it.
Yeah. So
I can't think of anything right now. I don't have any.
No,
really
I'm blank right now anyway. So
yeah.
Well, something will come to mind in the next
for sure.
While. Yeah.
No, I'm so thankful that you and Jesse happened to be available last minute. That doesn't normally happen. Like I was speaking to Evelyn Ray on the phone earlier today because when I was driving home from work, I was just like, I need to talk to someone. Listen to this. 2 hours of a commute for me to. This is not because it's that far away. It was 2 hours because I'm in Sydney and the commute and the traffic is bad here. Yeah. So the first hour I was talking to my mother. The second hour I spoke to Evelyn, and then I was like, oh, if you still have your makeup on, because she did InfoWars this morning. If you still have your makeup on, come on. My Canadian pastor has bailed on me. She's like, no, I'm in my pajamas, and I'm like, I'm in my pajamas too, but yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, I'll get her on in a few weeks' time anyway. But it's just like
No, that was good to see her on InfoWars this morning. Honestly, that to see her get onto that. That's pretty good. Yeah. I didn't get to see the I just saw the pictures and stuff that she put up and everything. That was honestly, that's pretty good. I mean, you know, getting out there, sort of going international, you know, that's
She's been on
what you
InfoWars
want.
3
Yeah.
times now. Yeah, she's so
Right,
smart, and I
yeah.
think the reason she's doing so well is because she's so smart, and she's a former cop, and she understands the ins and the outs of the system. She happens to be a Christian. She's beautiful. Like, yeah, I love seeing my friends like succeed. There's nothing better than going, oh my God, good, get the message out, and yeah, I actually, do you know what I hate? I haven't actually seen any of her Paul Murray live interviews yet.
Me
but
neither, I know.
no,
Yeah,
I haven't watched a single one, but I know her, so I know that she's probably talking common sense in the gospel.
oh,
So
for sure.
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping everything real, and you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you can't go wrong without God. Do you know what I found before you go? This is what I found. If you have a really bad day, or you're sad about something, praying, I don't think is enough. Do you know what I've started doing? I've started praising God through it. Thank you, Lord, that I had this horrible day. Thank you, Lord, because I learned patience today, and I learned how to let go of my issues. Because remember how I told you that I just don't know how to let it go and give it to God? I'm like, I can't trust God. He's taking too long. Okay, I'll take it back.
I'm the same.
Yeah. So I love that. Like, we can bond on this because it's such a Christian thing or non-Christian thing. Like, because we're like, well, God, you're taking too long. So like, if you praise God through it, and then you because I talk to myself a lot. So I talk to myself, and I say, stop doing this, let it go, thank you, Lord, and then I go back to God. So I have to check myself and say, oh, I've taken it back again, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I get really frustrated at myself for what I'm doing. I'm just going to respond to this person. There we go. And yeah, so if you start praising God through something horrible, or if you're just standing in the rain and cars are driving by and the puddles are splashing you, we're supposed to thank God through that anyway.
Yeah. I think that's very sound advice, you know, very
I think so.
Very well reasoned, yeah.
Because that's the right way to worship God. And then it's like with that woman, that beautiful Lebanese woman that lost her children.
Oh gosh,
she's not angry.
Yeah, that's just incredible, honestly. That's seeing that, it's just like, you know, I think a lot of people would think, you know, I don't know how she does it. You know, that's the especially after losing 3 children, it's just you know, you'd think, well, it would be very easy to be angry and upset and wanting to condemn the person and everything, but to actually like come out and you know, say what she said, it was just incredible.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of compassion and a lot of heart to be able to do that.
But I don't think it's all her. I think the Holy Spirit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
The Holy Spirit clearly dwells within her. I like to think I'm forgiving because I've forgiven so many horrible, horrible things, but nothing like that. Nothing to the point where someone has killed someone. Yeah, how would I go with that? I don't know. Like, you give hypotheticals to people sometimes. I certainly do. I'm like, Mummy, Puppy, what would you do if I was, you know, violated in this horrible, horrible way? My dad, I kill him instantly. I kill him. And my mom's like, oh, you know, eventually I would have to forgive him. You know, such different responses. Like, my dad's a typical male. My mum's a typical Christian. You know, it's like such different answers. My mum would forgive him. Yeah, like that's what it is to be a person of faith. And if you can't do it, you need to say, even if you don't want to say it, oh, thank you, God, that I'm standing in the rain and cars are like splashing me with water. You say it, eventually the more you say it, you mean it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I've just started doing that. As bad as that sounds, in my 30s, I've only just started going, praise you, God, for all the crap I've been dealing with, because, you know, it's taught me this, it's taught me this, it's taught me this.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I need to start doing that myself, to be honest.
Try it, because
Yeah,
for real,
definitely.
it makes, because like you get haters and stuff like that, and it just makes you not hate people. It makes you go, okay, well, I'm gonna pray for that hater. I'm gonna pray for this person. I'm gonna pray for that person, because what's the point in hating them back or even responding the same way? Like
Exactly.
if I'm not gonna, what's the word? Not project. I'm not going to grab that heaviness when I don't need to. Like I don't have an issue with anyone. Yeah, but
It's not
anyway,
going to do us any good, it's only going to have a negative impact on us if we keep going towards that direction. So
yeah, exactly.
there's
I
no
just wanna
point
be
responding
happy.
negatively to negativity. It's just trying to get through it in a positive way. Yeah,
Exactly. Well, I'm really glad that we can end on maybe that note. That's awesome.
definitely.
Why isn't my phone working? My phone's not working. But yeah, and that's where we are on that topic. And yeah, okay. So he didn't come on during the live. I thought maybe he would have. I think he fell asleep and he just forgot, but that's okay.
That's how
I will. I mean, do you know, I get up sometimes at 4 a.m. to do an interview with different people. Like when I've been on with Adam Kokesh or with Gavin McGuinness, like sometimes you have to get up super early, but it's all right. I think he's tired, and he does a lot of interviews from what I've seen.
Oh, I imagine so. Yeah.
I'll get him on.
Tough.
I'll get him on in the next couple of days. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Joel, and thank you for everyone for tuning in. And God bless you all. And as I tend to end all of my edited content, I think I'll start doing it on my live streams too. Pray for your enemies, everyone, and blessings to you all. Bye. And broadcast.